Back again, back and up to that oval tump above the chalk cross to search for a thumbnail of pottery, a single shard. When I launched myself into the trench beside it, packed with crackling beech leaves, I believed I was an inmate of the barrow. Commentator, diplomat, viola player, priest, all four beached on my limitations and quickening sense of myself. But why did I not train to be an archaeologist? That riddled oak lectern, and the scarabs and beads from Ur, a nacreous perfume bottle lifted from some settlement south of Alexandria, asking, deducing, dovetailing, past and present, matter and spirit. My heart quickens to Whitecliff and my childhood museum, that shed growing into the ground. And with one eye on the threatening sky, one on a molehill, I brighten at the little finds I'm still adding to it. Undone, a necklace of rose lights looping over the Chilterns above the spring line. No culture chooses to look down at its dead. Then on through the wilderness of this world, the airy downs, silly Suffolk, each blossom radiant, fading, dead-headed. Sky widens, and the chain tautens, footfalls in the sandy soil and soggy fen, footfalls through forests bedded with cones and needles. Nappers and salt panners and oystermen, truth-tellers, outcasts, devotees, still resting here. Sudden gusts and bluster, bolts of thunder, stinging rain, and no less sudden, wings of Chalk Hill blues again. High over the henge and all its voices, there's a spray of lights, a cluster, shoulder companions on this last ridge at the end of their long journey. Dark roses before the drop to the baffled sea. With mommets and hodmedod's, we tried to scare him away. For a while we did. Death flew off with his demons, and you burned brightly. When we propped you against the doorpost, you heard your willow daughter comforting her daughter, who will soon be born. You kept begging us to call on our ancestors, flame cheeks, twitch fingers. You kept saying the unliving can guard the living. All day you waited outside your hut, not alone, and murmured and warbled last words before you lost your breath. You watched how the ridge grew holy and how the end of the evening shimmered. The bristling fields, copper and bronze, even your own messengers, the waves of the sky, no longer mudfowl, but oyster and pearl. While sea eagles and harriers, before their bloody work, made low passes. When you came, I was unborn. No one knew your name or where you had walked from. Along the living streams, you said. You told us there's a tree opening over all that is, all that is. White skull, green earth, swarming sea. It sings and suffers for us. It is our always tree. You said, when our leader dies, each of us is turned over, each broken. You told us to smash all the death urns and nick the axe blades to set their spirits free. Then lay him in the cradle of an upturned tree. Do this, you said, and he will be sky-born again. After the fire and flood, you too will be sky-born again. Our grandfathers and great-grandmothers laughed, they cried, and in the rushlight they asked you many questions. I know I would have seen you before sunrise, up there on the lopeway, just below the ridge. I closed your lids with this right thumb. Then we fashioned your death cradle, the elders and the lame, with chains of song unbroken, and the young splashing, delving, squeezing out, then heaping up your island, all the men and women with their singing axes. With honeysuckle ropes we snared the posts and set them up in trenches side by side. Past the hazels and alders we hauled the huge oak stump with its horn roots to the bog. We chipped all the bark from your cradle, your white altar, your shining altar. From where sun dies the wind blew, tides gulped and shunted behind our dunes for many days. But at last we lifted you. On thick green trusses and silver wormwood we carried you out from the dead house. You wore flowers. You wore flowers. Sun cups, silken cotton grass, threaded and twisted, starlight, marshmallow, your choker wreathen sea pink. So gently we laid you on the crush of chalk and clay between the roots of the upturned tree. Our death baby, our death baby. Each of us sipped 3 sips of the sweet water lapping you. And I, blood of your blood, placed your death gifts around you. The sea eagles and harriers heard our cries. They cried with us. Then each of us sang. I sang. I felt the darkness knotting inside you. I sang, you were the setting sun. I sang until I closed the lids over your eyes with this right thumb. Sky always, always shone in them. Marram-whipped, peat-lipped, salt-scarred, windswept. The earth meets the sea, and each opens to the running sky and reflects it. Gazing across the wash of years, we say this stark foreshore, where flux is the only constant, looks entirely fitting as the site of a crossing place. And while we recognise it's not what its makers intended, with their plans for circles and walkways well guarded by dunes, and their heroic labour, see also that time and dream have mapped and remapped it into another truth. Of what once was, what's left will soon be gone. Without kicking up more waves of argument and speculation, or putting unanswerable philosophical questions, still not knowing how not to look, and not to ask, but breathe, and have my own tides reveal what they will and when they will. Wryneck's drum, grey plover's whistle, and boring pittocks have their way. Of what once was, what's left will soon be gone. Wholly to immerse myself, wholly to find myself. Not to search for words, but in this place, only to be. Not sorry and not stricken, but of age, I'll strip my scape to headland and heartland. Let each silence and breath, each word in waiting, learn to bear a burden, weightless as eternity.